So I was wandering around today in this beautiful sunlight and watching as people played frisbee in the park, and someone was having a lovely wedding. Meanwhile, over their heads, chemtrails were making a grid, and the day was so lovely because a coronal mass ejection, or solar flare, had struck our planet on November 5th. How much of our reality is real? How surreal is our reality, really? When we look at things and see life as we want to believe it is, we obviously miss the truth of the picture. And there is so much going on planet Earth right now that is so beyond what most people consider real that we don't even know what to do to solve our issues. When we start to recognize the true aspects of life and how far ahead and advanced a secret government could be, and most likely is, then we might start to realize where our struggles begin. But as we just wander along aimlessly under these chemtrail-laden skies, never asking the question as to why that large X is over my head and what effects it might just have. Now, is a couple of components that come in with these chemtrails, and even today I'm feeling a bit loopy because I wonder if John Rappaport's report was true about the aerosol of Prozac. What are they doing to us with those chemtrails? Now, certainly one aspect of it has been the aluminum and barium particles that are placed up in it. Now, barium absolutely just makes you sick. It gives you flu-like symptoms. It causes abdominal cramps, diarrhea, difficulty in breathing, and decreased blood pressure. It causes numbness and muscle aches. It can cause paralysis, and many that are not prepared for it. And it causes this upper respiratory infection that we are all feeling, I'm sure. Now, how much can we believe resides in something they're throwing at us like the swine flu? How much can we believe when we know that we're sucking in a particle, a metal, into our system, a heavy metal that's causing flu-like symptoms? But it's been so many years now. It's been over a decade. I believe I started talking about chemtrails in 1996. I honestly got tired of talking about it after a while, and if you don't know enough, I have a nice new section on the freemanperspective.blogspot.com where you can catch up on all my old shows about chemtrails and also watch the Flo White video, Chemtrails, which I enjoy very much. I think you will too. I think that thing rocks. So as we start to look at our reality and realize that there are these reality manufacturers that are doing nefarious deeds right in front of us, over our heads, around everyone, while everyone's incredulous and ignorant, and we're trying to sort this situation out. But it goes so much farther and farther than people can believe that we're going to start tonight's show going back as far as we can possibly go back in our current civilization's history, and that is back to the time of Atlantis. We're going to take this story back, and we're going to bring it up to today. And I think you're going to enjoy this a lot as we wander through civilization and the life of humanity on planet Earth, here on the Free Zone, Oracle Broadcasting. There can be few subjects with so extensive a bibliography as Atlantis, and the problem of its submergence. In the centuries since Plato, scientists in practically every field, courts and political philosophers, idealists, devoted amateurs, writers of all kinds, even metaphysicians, have concerned themselves with this tragic story. There's only one place that Atlantis comes to light, and that is in the tales of Plato, in his tales of Critias and Timaeus. It occurs nowhere else. It's found in two of Plato's dialogues, the Timaeus and Critias, and these were planned as a trilogy and supposedly took place during the 3 days following the dialogue, which we call the Republic. When Critias meets with Socrates, they begin to talk about a man named Solon and his ideas on Atlantis as he went to try and discover a possible way to cure the ills of the political strife in his nation of Greece. So Critias goes on to say, "Listen then, Socrates, to a tale which, though passing may seem strange, is yet wholly true, as Solon, the wisest of the seven, once upon a time declared. I will tell you, it is an old tale, and I heard it from a man not young. For indeed at that time, as he said himself, Critias was already close to 90 years of age, while I was somewhere around 10. When we start to look into this tale, we find that it comes from the delta of Egypt, and this is where Solon was taken to a subterranean cavern to learn the secrets of Atlantis. And the ancient Greeks, the old ones that spotted Solon, spoke to him, and they told him, "Oh, Solon, Solon, you Greeks are always children. There is not such a thing as an old Greek." And on hearing this, Solon asked, "What mean you by saying this?" And the priest replied, "You are young in soul, every one of you, for therein you possess not a single belief that is ancient and derived from old tradition, not yet one science that is hoary with age, and this is the cause thereof. There have been, and there will be, many and divers destructions of mankind, of which the greatest are by fire and water, and lesser ones by countless other means. For in truth, the story that is told in your country as well as ours, has once upon a time Phaethon, son of Helios, yoked the father's chariot, and because he was unable to drive it along the course taken by his father, burnt up all that was upon the earth, and himself perished by a thunderbolt. That story, as it is told, has the fashion of a legend, but the truth of it lies in the occurrence of a shifting of the bodies in heaven, which move round the earth, and a destruction of things on the earth by a fierce fire, which recurs at long intervals. So the tale of Atlantis tells us again and again of the possibility of massive destruction on planet Earth, that there are cycles and tribulations that the humanity goes through, that these cycles are timed and are able to be noted through calendars, through astronomical buildings such as those of ancient Egypt or those of ancient Maya. They are able to determine things that those of us with the young soul, those of us that have no idea of the levels of knowledge that are above us, and those that are manipulating them, are used. We are left in this place where Atlantis comes to fore, and we're not even in a position where we can believe this as an ancient history, as we start to look at Atlantis as a true history. And you find the tales of the sorcerers of Atlantis that have then brought along knowledge, but using it for evil ends. And it is obvious to me that we see this quite a bit in our day-to-day existence. When we start to see all the tales of Atlantis that are coming up in our current news, such as the Atlantis launch that will be coming up in November 16th, moving its way up to the ISIS, or the ISS, and carrying what? We have often wondered what it is that these shuttles shuttle so often. I suggest perhaps they're lifting the gold up to the Agigi, as the Sumerians knew them, or the ISIS, the ISS, and launching all the gold up there. Because there is more going on planet Earth than we're ready to accept. So as we start to look at this ancient tale of Atlantis, it comes more and more into the tales of magic. We get into the stories of Aleister Crowley, and we come to an understanding of Enochian or angelic magic, where we start to get forward in an understanding that ritual has the potential for contact with non-terrestrial beings, and how long these rituals have carried over and carried forth throughout time, to bring about the world that we call civilization today. Back in this ancient time, they would use high technologies to trick the people into following the movements. And we'll get more into that. But what we're looking at today is more along the lines of a secret society, a secret government, a black operation that is bringing about what we could call as Project Bluebeam. Is bringing about a show so grand that it will be biblical in its proportions. A show that's going to lift humanity from our current state of civilization into an entirely new state and religion. This Hollywood event that we are all going to witness here in the very near future, and we're going to get deep into Blue Book in this show, and Atlantis more, and Aleister Crowley, and as much as I can pull out in these 2 hours. And we're going to see this Hollywood production being displayed before us right now as we speak in the present, and how highly advanced the technology is that we are dealing with. And that this story goes back to occult contacts with Nazis, connecting NASA with the Nazis, Jack Parsons, L. Ron Hubbard, and Aleister Crowley. We're going to get deep into all of this. Atlantis is a story that has been written from history, wiped out, as Akhenaten and his family were wiped from history at one time. But eventually these things become reality, as they found Osiris's tomb, or the tomb of Gilgamesh. Things are not as they appear on the surface. We'll pick this up on the other side.